Okay, so the purpose of this video is to take an RTSP stream from a webcam on our local network, and we want to make it available in a web page running on our own web server on our own network. So let's have a look at what we have in the way of RTSP streams. So I'm going to use VLC. And if I go to Open Network Stream, I'm going to type in the IP address of an RTSP camera that's on my network, 192.168.1.30, and in this case it's /live1.sdp. I'm going to play that, and let's just see if we get a picture. There we go, we got a picture. That's the camera looking out the window upstairs. So we know we've got a good RTSP source that we can use to forward to a web page. Okay, so how do we forward it to a web page? Well, to do that we need to have a web server, and we want to have a web server running on our local machine so that we can view it firstly in our web page. So what's our IP address of this machine? Let's go to Start, Run. Right click on Start, Run, and type in command. Get the command box, and let's type ipconfig, and we can see our IP address 192.168.1.80. So here we go in our browser, go 192.168.1.80, and do we have anything in there? No, because we don't have a web server running on this machine. So to get a web server running on this machine, I recommend Apache, because it is the industry standard web server, and it's available in a package called XAMPP. So let's get XAMPP. So in Google, we'll just type XAMPP. And the first one we get from Apache, we can go to download, and the very first one, XAMPP for Windows, download 64-bit, and this will start downloading. So what does Apache do? Well, it is XAMPP is a collection of applications. So it has MariaDB, which is similar to MySQL for database work, PHP and Perl. These are programming languages. We don't need it for this instance, but it's nice to have them available if they're needed. Okay, so XAMPP is now downloaded. Let's just find that in the folder. So in my downloads folder, let's just drag that out to the desktop. There we go. So I don't need you anymore. Oops, I don't need you anymore for the moment. Close you, move you over there. So XAMPP for Windows. Let's install this. Double click, run, and it will say welcome, next, server, yeah, that's fine, next, folder, next, English, next, untick Bitnami. So this should just install. Okay, there we go. XAMPP is now installed, and it says, do you want to start the control panel now? Might as well. Press finish. So what we'll see is this little yellow orange icon has just come up in the taskbar down there, and that's our control panel for XAMPP. So if I bring the control panel down, it'll say these are the modules that are installed, and we can start them. So let's start Apache. That's all we need to start for the moment. We'll press start, and there we can see that Apache is running on port 80. I'll just put that down there. And let's go back to our web page and our IP address, which is 192.168.1.80. And there we go. We can see that we've now got a web server running on port 80 on this computer. And you can see that there is a standard install. You've installed OK. You have successfully installed XAMPP on this system. Perfect. Okay, so now we need to just configure this so that we can run our own web page somewhere. So what we'll do is I'll just minimize this and put that to the side, and I'm going to archive that into my folder. So we don't need that one anymore. So let's create a folder somewhere on our system, and I'm going to go to C drive, and I am going to create a new folder. Right click, new folder, and this is going to be my web pages. So it's in C/web pages. I'm just going to copy that. Right click, just copy that, so I've got that as a reference. So let's just configure this. So let's press stop for the web server. I'm going to go to config and config Apache HTTP conf. It comes up in Notepad, and I can see that the server root, that's the install location, is in XAMPP Apache. I want to go down and just about here, document root, C XAMPP htdocs. I don't want to put it in there. I want to put it in, right click, web pages. And I just want to change this one underneath there as well. You could put it in any directory you want to, but I kind of prefer not sticking it in the one which comes with the application. So file and save. And let's restart it, port 80, and then refresh this. Not found. It won't find it because we've changed the directory. And if I now go back, you'll see that I've just got a directory listing now of any files which are in my web pages folder. So I could create a file. I can go new text document, and I'm going to go hello.txt and say hello. Save. So we've got hello in hello.txt. If I refresh this, hello.txt, and we click hello, you'll see hello. So you can see what we've done there. So that directory structure is literally running from this directory structure here. If we want to create a new folder, this is going to be maybe pictures. Then if we refresh this, you'll see pictures, and so on and so on. Now, we don't want people to see this when we log in, so we want to create just an empty index, and I'm going to go to the end, and I'm going to call HTML. Yes. And now when I click on this, it's all disappeared, because if you've got an index HTML in a folder, when you go to just the default folder here, it will take this one, and there's nothing inside there. So what we could do is you could say nothing here. See? Okay, so the next part of the project is we need to be able to take the video from VLC and somehow display it on the web page here. Okay, let's minimize this because for the moment we may not need that. And the next thing that we need to have is FFMPEG, which is an application which is probably used in 90% of broadcasters and online services, which is a toolbox for video and streaming and conversions. So we are just going to type in FFMPEG and we come to ffmpeg.org. We want to download, we want to go to the Windows, and we'll go to guyan.dev and let's download. We want the latest version and release. We want release essentials. So let's click on that. And this is now starting to download. FFmpeg is usually updated nearly daily. It is probably the most comprehensive for all the codecs and everything you would ever need for video. So just let this download. Okay, so FFmpeg has now downloaded. Let's just have a look, show in folder, and just bring it out to my desktop. And I can close that, and I can move this to the side. I don't need this web page anymore, so I'm going to go back to my 192.80 where there's nothing there. Okay, so with this one, it's a zip file, so let's just right click, and if you've got some type of zip extractor, extract to. Okay, don't need the zip file anymore, and I'm going to open FFmpeg folder. So inside FFmpeg folder there is a few directories. We want the one which is called bin, and there we are. It's FFmpeg, ffplay and ffprobe. Now these three applications all do different things. Probe, basically you can point it at a stream and it will tell you information about it. Play, you can point it at a stream and it will play it in a window. And FFmpeg has got all the other tools underneath for conversions and streaming and everything else. Now these are command line programs, so usually run them as a command line, and the easiest way to do that is by how I do it. Right click in the folder and do new text document, and first thing I always do is called c.bat, and I'm just going to go to Notepad and I'm going to open up c.bat. I'm going to type command and then I'm just going to close it and save, and then the next time I click on c.bat, not c.bat.text but you also want c.bat, you can then get a command line window and you're automatically in that directory. And I can type in FFmpeg and it will come up with what's been enabled in that software, and then it will just exit because I haven't given it any command line parameters. So I'm going to move FFmpeg just over there, and then you can see what's inside there. So we could theoretically play that RTSP stream in ffplay. So let's try this. We could go ffplay -i RTSP 192.168.1.30 / what was it called? live1.sdp. live1.sdp, and let's see what happens. Unauthorized, because I've got a password on my camera. So what we can do instead, I'll just push the up button there to get back to the previous command. I can go admin @ I've got no password, but I've got a user login. So RTSP / //admin @ and then try that. And you should theoretically, there we are. So I can now see that the FFmpeg system is decoding the RTSP stream from my webcam. Great, that's good news. That means that we've got access to that stream. So now we could use FFmpeg to convert that stream into something that we can use on the web. So let's close that. So what I used there, if you go back up, I used the ffplay. ffplay -I for input, RTSP admin at 192.168.130 live1.sdp. So what we want to do now is run a command so that we can convert that stream into something usable for the web. So in my web pages folder, I can create maybe a folder called video, and we want to be able to dump the footage from that camera into the video folder. So what we can do, I'm going to create a batch file, another batch file. I'm going to right click and I'm going to text, and I don't want it to be called new.text. I want it to be called webcam.bat. Okay, webcam.bat. Right click for notepads, and we're going to drag that into there. So I can see webcam.bat, and I want to run the command. I want to type in the command from here. So webcam.bat batch file. So what we're going to type into it, rather than try and make it up as we go along, I've got one that I prepared slightly earlier. So we're going to copy this command into here. It's called FFmpeg, verbose, which is basically mean be quiet, -I, which is the input, RTSP admin at 192.168.1.30 live1.sdp. Okay, the video format, the scale, we want to destination scale, we want to be 1920 by 1080. The codec is going to be a X264 codec, rate of 25 frames a second, and the bit rate for the video is going to be 1 meg. And this means high encoding. Audio codec is AAC, and the threshold, don't worry about that. So the format we're going out to is HLS, which is HTTP live streaming, and the HLS time is 5, which is the kind of like default segment time of an MPEG TS packet. And we only want to have up to 5 packets available so that we don't have a massive delay for the end user to watch. And the final stream is going to be an M3U8 stream. Now all I need to change is I want to take my destination folder, copy C, and I want to stick it here, v/. So you don't have to worry about all that. So what it's doing is taking that stream, converting it into a format and a type of video that we need and the size. We're going to put it into C webpages video and stream.m3u8. So I'm going to save that, and in the command I'm going to type webcam.bat, and this will start running, and it's taking the stream coming through. Okay, so it's taking the stream coming through, it's creating the frames and the packets, but look in the folder that we created, the video folder. So we've got an index file, M3U8, but it's also creating TS files, which are MPEG TS files. And every 5 seconds it will create another one. And you'll see that these basically just contain video data. So we could go to an early file, maybe in VLC, and maybe I can drag that into VLC, and it should actually play. So what we've done there is we're taking that stream and we're archiving them into chunks that can be played sequentially from an index file here. So I'm just going to close down VLC for the moment because we don't need it. But that command line, which is that command line that we ran here, it's just sitting there and it's running. It's creating those files and it'll just do that forever. So let's just stop that for the moment because we know that FFmpeg is now working. And I'm going to close that for the moment. Great. Let's see what happens when we then go to the web page. So I want to go to /video. Yes, we can see the stream files and the M3U8s in there. But there's not really much we can do because we don't have a video player in here. So what we need to do is just put a web page with a video player that can look at the M3U8 and use the TS files as needed. So let me just get a video player. Okay, here's something else I prepared earlier. So I've got a web page here that I'm just going to drag into there, and it's called video.htm. I'm just going to drag that into the same directory that we've got as everything else. Now let's click on the refresh here, and you'll see we've got a new web page called video.htm. Now let's have a look inside there. We'll click it and see if it finds anything. Now it says the media could not be loaded either because the server or network failed because the format is not supported. It could well be that there is something we need to change in Apache to allow us to be able to do that. So let me just look inside. I'm just going to take another notepad and open up video.htm. And let's just double check. There's not really much in there. I can see straight away that my IP address is wrong because that's going to something that I prepared previously. So I'm going to go to 192.168.1.80, which is the IP address of this machine. Then I'm going to go to video / stream M3U8. So there's nothing else in there. These files are being come from a company that makes the actual player. So my video source HTTP 192.168.1.80 application MPEG URL. Now that's something that we may need to add into Apache XAMPP, but we'll just double check and see if it works. So file, save. I'm just going to close that. Just refresh this page. Video.htm. Okay, so it says again, media cannot be loaded. So I think I know why. I'm just going to move that to one side. So one of the last things that we should need to do, I am going to go to, here we are, the XAMPP, right click, show hide, show, okay. I'm going to go to config, and I'm looking for a file called mime types, and I can't see it in here, so I'm going to browse Apache, go to browse Apache, okay, and I want to go to the conf folder, and here mime types. I just want to open mime types with Notepad. I just want to, now somewhere down here I just need to add type application XAMPP URL. Control C for copy. and I just need to add it, maybe at the end of the list. Application X. Okay, I'll add it just here after the zip. Application MPEG URL, and I want to do M3 U8 and M3 U8. So application X MPEG URL M3U8 in capitals and M3U8 in small case. File, save. That's all saved in there. I can now close that. I'm just going to stop that server, and then I'm going to restart that server. Okay, so I'm now going to come back to my web page, refresh the web page, and click video.htm. And there we go. So this is now playing the last received TS file that was dumped into that folder. Press refresh again. There we go. So it's definitely working. You can see the timestamp on there. Full screen. Yeah, full screen. Okay, that's good. So we'll leave that to the side. We can minimize this because we don't need to use that anymore. And now what we can do is let's just delete those TS files and restart our webcam.bat. So what we're going to do is just let this take some footage in, let it buffer up. We should start to see some TS files and an M3U8 file go in. There we are. So now we should be able to click refresh here and play. And then you can see here, live. So that is now a live stream. And each file is about 5 or 6 seconds long. And you can see it's just playing and playing. See the clock here. 50, 51, 52, 53. And our files are just buffering up here. So that's the simplest way of getting the footage from the webcam onto a web page, which you could use and view on anything. That will still work on a mobile phone or an iPhone or an Android. The only thing that you need to do is forward port 80 from your router to your IP address on your local machine, and then you'll have video on the outside world. Now there are some other settings that can be adjusted so that it will delete the older stream TS files, so you don't have loads and loads of files on the system, but that's just a very easy way of first step. Okay, I hope that helps.